Welcome back, guys, or if you're new to my channel, this is Automotive Anonymous, and I'm currently driving the 2024 Refreshed Rubicon 392. And it sure sounds pretty dang impressive, pretty darn cool, and honestly, guys, I have not seen many of these on the road, and I've driven a lot of the other 6.4 liter or 392 cars, so I was pretty darn excited to get my hands on this one. I actually just finished doing a full review of it, but I'm not quite ready to give it back. So I want to share just a little bit more of driving impressions and what I've kind of accumulatively figured out over my several hours with this Jeep Wrangler 392, as indicated by the hood bulge and the numbering right there. Pretty cool, although you really can't see it from this angle. It climbs, steep grades like they're not even there. But this Jeep isn't perfect. It is quite good, and it's $90,000, which is almost a $10,000 jump over last year. So it's pretty pricey, although it does have a lot of cool features, like the 35-inch tires, the front and rear locking rear diff, and, nothing but the basics right here. Most of those electronics, other than HVAC, they're just for off-roading. They're getting you to the places you want to go. And this thing does that really well. I do have the active exhaust turned on right now, and this thing sounds fantastic. But look at how much I'm turning the wheel before we start moving. There is maybe a couple inches of just dead space before anything happens. And when I was driving this at 70 plus earlier on the highway, it's not the best highway cruiser. It's great for off-roading. That front solid axle helps this thing articulate like no one's business. And with 47 degrees of approach angle, it can literally climb up, more than half of a grade to vertical. Like, it's absolutely insane what this can do. But that solid axle that's been around for decades, since the inception of the Jeep, for this JL that's been around since 2018, it doesn't do very well on the highway. It's gonna be a good mall crawler, but this is built for so much more than that. Someone spending 90 grand on something like this, they need a lot more than just something that looks the part. This thing is absolutely capable. Just look at how tiny this little third gen Foreigner looks in comparison. And even when you blurp the throttle just a little bit, it roars to life. Seriously, there's 4 exhaust pipes back there. And although under certain RPMs, it does sound just a tiny bit raspy, in general, this thing sounds good. And it looks good. I'm having a good time. That's just over a 12-inch screen. That's part of the refresh. And one of my favorite parts of it is that you can actually access the front camera while driving. Very cool. Something that a lot of off-roaders need. Cameras these days are seriously pretty cheap, pretty inexpensive. It does cut off after maybe 10 seconds or so, but I am very thankful, very appreciative that it's here. And this is just a really good time driving it. I was about to just try to go up a sidewalk over there, but there's a line of people, so we're gonna follow the rules of the road since we are on the road, even though we're driving a Wrangler. But I'm gonna give it some gas once we get onto the open road, let you hear it a little bit more and see how fast the needle dances. I would say hold on to the wheel because it does get a little bit squirmy at times. But that sounds good. That ZF 8-speed, still by today's standards, it's pretty quick at shifting. It's pretty good. Maybe not quite what the 10-speed from Ford and Chevy is, but honestly, I love the ZF 8-speed and, all the vehicles that I've driven that have it. Mostly these big 392 Hemis, but also something like the Supra with a 3-liter if it's an automatic, and some other vehicles also offer that. But at speed, going 45, 50 down the road, again, look at the steering wheel. The vehicle's not really moving, but the steering wheel is. The lack of, sensitivity or the numbness, not my favorite. But overall, there's a lot of safety feature. It has blind spot monitoring, all the adaptive cruise control features, those huge brakes, even at, 18% brake pedal, it slows it down right away. And if you want to shift between your different 4-wheel drive gears, that's right here. Currently, I have it in 4 auto high. You can go down to 4 high part-time, neutral, as in put this in neutral before you get into the low range. But right now, I'm just keeping it up in 4 high auto. Doing some accelerations earlier, it was getting a little bit squirrely if it's only in part-time. And, I mean, this is 6.5 feet wide with those massive fenders. it's 6.25 feet tall. So it's basically a brick. You're driving a brick with 500 horsepower, actually 470, down the road. So don't go around a corner very fast. You don't want to roll this thing over. That's honestly the overlap crash test where these things roll like crazy in the Highway Institute of Safety Testing. It's insane. These really aren't rated that safe. Thankfully, it does have an airbag up here now, so that's a huge plus. And it's easy to kind of tell, you know, where your dimensions are. Look through the mirrors, the side mirrors. It's square enough that you can really tell where you're at on the road. And it's a pretty big vehicle. I'm looking down on this Traverse like it's a sedan. Maybe not quite, but really, you know, or like this slightly, it looks like that's probably a lifted F-150. And it looks like I'm about the same height, even though the roof is only 6.25 inches high. And then you do notice you have this extra insulation up here. Garage door options, LED on the mirror when you're checking yourself out, because you want some LED lights, especially for 90 grand or so. Grab bars, but you still can see that has the basic frame with LED lights and speakers built in. There's also kind of a sub in the back. But with 32 cubic feet of room behind the second row, this is honestly a pretty practical vehicle. And it's built to have fun, whether off-road or maybe playing with those paddles on-road. There's a lot that you can do. It takes about 39 feet to do a full circle, so it's not super agile, but let's go. The ZF didn't want to downshift that time, it just rolled out a gear. But what I've also noticed is when you come off the throttle, kind of like the ZF in the Supra 3-liter turbo, it will actually kind of downshift and brake rev for you to spare your brakes a little bit. And I do think that that is a really cool tuning feature. I would be careful of this windshield. Maybe update your State Farm policy or whoever you have to have really cheap windshield replacements, because it's almost vertical. It's going to catch a lot of rocks, more than likely, if you're driving anywhere near a semi on the interstate or, you know, around other off-roaders off-road. Windshields that are vertical, they like to catch rocks, and it's not pretty. I used to have an FJ Cruiser. That thing had the triple windshield wiper, and that thing also caught a lot of rocks, but it was fun. And this is really fun. It's really refined. It has remote start, but when you do the remote start, it roars to life, and it sounds really good. It sounds fantastic, and it's actually pretty quick. So let me show you a 0 to 60. 0 to 60 in the Rubicon, traction off, 4 high auto on. I'll brake rev it. Keep in mind though, density altitude's 4,100 feet, so this big 470 horsepower V8 is down on power about 12 to 14%. So let's see what we can do. Ooh, gets a little bit squirrely. Part of that's just due to the kind of the numb wheel feel. But true 0 to 60 just now came in at 5.1 seconds. That felt about right, felt very quick. And remember, it is down on power just a little bit. Let's see what it can do. Not bad. I did have the performance exhaust valves open. It sounded fantastic, and true 0 to 60 came in at 5.38. You know what, guys? I did another run just a little while ago for this impromptu point of view driving impressions video, and it was a little bit over 5, but it was also a few tenths of a second faster than this. So if you've watched that video, you can see that there's maybe a quarter second of variance between different country private roads and being, you know, almost a mile above sea level. It's not going to be the 4 flat or the low 4s like you see without rollout on a sticky track, you know, at sea level, but it's still going to be pretty dang fast for being a big 4-door Wrangler. So yeah, that wasn't the textbook number that you were expecting, but this is the real world, and these are real world results, and nothing but, you know, almost the electric vehicles actually run the times that they're rated up here. So for what this is, being almost a mile above sea level, running a very low 5 true time is honestly really impressive. I'm glad that there's the Rubicon stitching. The backpack's really enjoying itself and having a good time. The bolstering's not super aggressive though, so don't go around a corner very fast because you will slide. But I honestly think that's a nice safety measure, because if you are held into the seat, you're gonna have a false sense of confidence, and you're likely gonna take the corner a little bit faster than you should. And these really don't take a whole lot for you to flip over, at least in everything that I've seen with them. Anyways, guys, I hope this video is helpful to you. I hope you enjoyed it. I had a lot of fun making it. And remember, if you want to see a more legit regular style review, I have one of those on my channel, whether it's posted before this video or after this video. I'm not quite sure at this point, but this is such a fun little SUV. And it's other than the Grand Wagoneer, it's the only other 392 that I haven't driven, and I'm really liking it. I do want to mention, which I mentioned in the full review, this is rumored to be the last year of the 392 because this model right here, this Jeep, is the last vehicle that has the 392 in it. Even the Grand Wagoneers, those now only have the Hurricane engine, which is a shame. Sure, it might be more powerful, make more low-end torque, but does it sound like this? No, I don't think it does. And on that note, I wish you guys the best. Like this video, comment your thoughts and opinions below. I hope to see you on the next one. And until then, take care.